Welcome to Fluent Inspections Radio, where we hope you enjoy stress-free home buying, home selling, and home ownership. I'm your host, Brian Botch, owner of Fluent Inspections. I'm joined today by Bill Beck and Kelly Lamont. Bill and I are both licensed professional inspectors here in the state of Texas, and we wanted to help relieve that anxiety, alleviate those butterflies, and empower you to make smart, informed decisions by arming you with information about your home.
Wow, that sounds dangerous.
It does, I know, right? Well, good morning, everyone. We are actually in Hurst, Texas today. Background probably looks a little different. We're here with Mike Carbone from Colonial Mortgage. Excuse me, Mike. And Mike, welcome to the show.
Welcome. I'm welcome to Hurst, Texas. I'm pleased and honored to be here, Brian. Thanks for asking me to do this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Mike, you've got kind of a unique background. You came from the aerospace industry and you've owned companies before, kind of worked your way to mortgage.
Yeah. It was kind of a circuitous route to the mortgage business. I worked for Lockheed out in California for the Skunk Works for 11 years, and then started an aerospace company here in Euless, Texas, some years ago, and did that, and we were very successful a long time, and ran into a little bit of 9/11 was a death knell for us. So,
sure.
But I owned a few other companies since then, and was kind of semi-retired when I got into the mortgage business. That was a little over 4 years ago, and it was at the urging of a friend of mine who his buddy ran a mortgage shop, and he said, "Man, you ought to do this because I think it kind of suits you." And I didn't really know much about it, to be honest, and but after he told me, gave me kind of an up and down of what it would look like and why it did suit me, and he was right, because it really kind of fulfills my entrepreneurial spirit, and not being able to, not having to answer to somebody all the time and dialing, and I like being out and about with folks, so it was really a good fit for me. And when I landed at Colonial and I got licensed, I just couldn't have been in a better place, because they treat me the way I treated my people. They care, and that makes all the difference in the world, because if you take good care of your people, they take care of everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about that.
So anyway, what's going on this morning? What are we talking about? We're going to talk about what?
We're going to talk about we're going to talk about mortgages, obviously.
Okay, sure.
But it's just we're just going to talk about houses in general, right?
Yeah.
So kind of the format of the show. I should have probably prepped you for this earlier, but we'll actually go through. And
this is still a work in progress.
Yeah. Well, and it's good to wing stuff,
We're only mildly entertaining, so you don't have to be that great.
We don't even wing it. We just have like a feather.
You're semi-retired though, and we're mildly entertaining, so we should make a good team.
Yeah. No, so we'll go through. We'll talk about you and your business for a bit. We'll do something a little later in the show called the Smart Home Update, and we'll encourage you to participate in that.
Okay, cool.
And then we'll go through some client questions. Some of those I think will be kind of interesting to you as well.
Awesome.
And then we'll kind of close it out. So that's normally how our shows go.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, if you are listening to us out there on your favorite podcasting app, please remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. You can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. You can find us on Instagram or at Facebook or at housefluent.com. So, Mike, unlike a bank, Colonial only specializes in mortgages, correct?
Well, no. Colonial is a bank.
Okay.
I work for Colonial National Mortgage. There's Colonial Savings Bank, but Colonial also does, has an insurance division as well. So, but what I do, I'm just solely in the residential mortgage business. So we do everything associated with that.
So tell us a little bit about that, maybe some of the advantages of Colonial and what you guys have going on here.
Okay, so the main thing with the mortgage business, you basically have mortgage banks, which Colonial is, and then you have mortgage brokers, which basically they represent a bunch of folks. So they're kind of like a middleman, if you will.
Okay.
And with a mortgage bank, we don't we don't sell our loans, or at least Colonial doesn't. Other mortgage banks might. So the advantage of what we do is the fact that we control the whole process. So, here in our local office here in Hurst, we have a couple of loan officers, and then we have a dedicated processor to us. But all the underwriting, closing, everything is handled here locally. So if you're able to control that process locally, you can get it done more efficiently and close your loans on time. More importantly,
sure. You're also able to provide better customer service.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. Because people, I tell people all the time. I said, look, once the loan closes, you can still call me, and I promise you, I'm still going to know who you are. Right. When you deal with a Rocket Mortgage. Trust me, that guy or gal or whatever, it might be 8 states away, and
they're on to the next person already.
They're sitting in a cubicle and they're smiling and dialing. So,
interesting. So, now I know, Mike, one of your specialties is working with people who build a home, as opposed to just sort of buying one out.
Yeah. A good portion of my business is custom home builders. So Colonial's got a great single close construction loan program that is very builder friendly, but more importantly, it's borrower friendly, because typically when you build a house, you have to get a construction loan. Then once the construction of the house is completed, then you got to go and you got to shop for a mortgage.
Right.
And so it's a 2-step process, and there's a lot of stuff that can go on and happen in between, starting the construction of your house and the completing. There's been situations where somebody's lost a job in between. And,
sure. Yeah, I can see that.
It's hard to qualify for a mortgage well, with us, we close up front and there's no requalifying. There's the closing is done. There's no updating of documents. It's just a matter of modifying and flipping it over to.
Also, when somebody gets a construction loan with you, it's not 2 loans.
No, it's
wow.
Yeah, and you close at your mortgage rate. So we lock in that rate for 12 months. So if the rate happens to go up, it doesn't matter to you because you're locked in. And oh, by the way, if the rate happens to go down, we can float you down to that lower rate.
Yeah, I would think people would love that.
So you're more of a one-stop shop, which isn't really nice.
Yeah. Well, and Colonial's been doing these for 25 years, so we've gotten pretty darn good at it. We've got a dedicated construction lending department, so we administer all the draws and the inspections for the clients. They don't have to worry about all those things, and we keep them apprised of what's going on. They know when a draw is being done, and what the inspection is, what's going on. So
we're familiar with those draw inspections.
Yeah,
we know
absolutely
exactly how those work.
Lots of back and forth.
Yeah,
a lot of back and forth. So Mike, you do new home construction loans, but you also do regular loans, and so I thought maybe we could break it down for folks and maybe try and simplify the process and just kind of maybe take them through some of the basic steps from start to close.
Sure. So, the important thing is to have a lot of questions when you go in and you talk to somebody like me, because you need to have enough information so that I'm going to be able to give you the most options and offer you what I think is going to be the best option for you based upon what you tell me. So I'm not interested in just doing, what is going to be quickest and easiest for me. Okay. That's an easy thing to do. And oftentimes there's quite a bit more work to do what's right for the client. And that's the only way I can do it. I mean, that's just the way it is.
That's the integrity coming out,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, somebody told me, I can't take credit for this, but if you have integrity, nothing else matters. And if you don't have integrity, nothing else matters.
Yeah, that's a very true statement.
Good point.
Okay, so they come into your office and with questions, right? But sort of what's the first step? So if I were a client, I was coming in, I sat down in your office, where do we go from here?
Okay, so my first is to get to know you a little bit so that I understand what your objectives are.
Okay.
What your expectations are.
Sure.
What your goals are. So, because everybody's different when they're trying to buy a house. Is this going to be something they're planning on being in for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, forever? All those things matter. Is it more important for you to get in with the least amount of money out of your pocket? Are you trying to conserve your cash? That's something else that you have to, be aware of. So it's just a matter of asking a lot of questions so that you have those answers and you're able to put that person or family in the best spot. So they've got the best deal for them.
Yeah. And I would imagine most people walk into your office thinking, hey, I'm buying a house, right? I'm going to be paying on this for 30 years and I'm going to put 20% down. And I would imagine that's what most people think about when they think about a mortgage.
That's very true. A lot of people are very misinformed. There's a lot of products out there that there's conventional loans that require as little as 3% down. There's USDA loans if you're in a rural area that requires 0 down. So, in all these things, again, it comes down to asking questions to see what are going to be the programs that folks might be best suited for, because, depending upon credit scores, the things that you have to know is, what their debt to income ratio is, what their credit profile is, their credit scores, the loan to value. These are all the things that, will have a huge impact on what the rates are. So, and I brought this is a rate sheet.
Uh-huh.
This comes out every day. So this is 14 pages of rates.
Oh, that sounds riveting.
Yeah, it's really good reading. If you're a mortgage geek, you enjoy it. Anybody else looks at that, oh great, toss it. Yeah,
birdcage liner.
Yeah.
So you look at those rates every single day.
Every day.
Wow.
Every day.
And do you I'm assuming you track that for your clients?
Well, yeah, we do, because sometimes, you're not, you won't necessarily typically, you lock a loan for 30 days. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you want to be like, sometimes people, they come to you and their contract is greater than 30 days. It's beyond that 30-day window. So you can either pay to lock that loan for a longer period, or you decide, well, I think the rates might even come down a little bit. So there's a little bit, but you need to communicate to the borrower so they understand that, hey, am I exposed here? Yeah, you might be. Nobody's got a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball. Anybody that says they know what the rates are going to do is not telling the truth.
Well, if they knew, then they probably wouldn't be in the rate business anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I'd be dating myself, but the only one that knew that was Karnak.
Yeah, that's right. So Mike, then are you proactive with the rates? So do you reach out to your existing clients and talk about refis and things like that?
I do. In fact, I have a little tickle file for folks that, if
you call it a tickle file.
A tickle file. Is that like a
No,
you're fine.
I completely get the concept.
Okay.
It's kind of like a nudge.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So, so if I know that, somebody was at a particular rate when the rates were up a little bit, there was a window over, a little over a year ago when the rates were, they jumped up there pretty good. So, so I'm reaching out to some of those folks to see what we can do to potentially help them. So, but I don't, refinancing, it's got to be right for, I won't do anything, for someone if I don't think it's good for them.
Sure.
That's all,
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Mike. So what are maybe some unique challenges you've bumped across in your years as a lender that, maybe you guys are equipped to handle, or you're equipped to handle, that maybe other people aren't?
Well, a lot of it is having a team, and having resources behind you. It's not just, it's, I've got a great group of people that I can rely on, because there's so many things. Each of these loans have underwriting guidelines associated with them, and some of them are very obscure, and you can't know all that stuff.
Right.
So, but you have to you have to have enough knowledge to know, you know what, there might be a bugaboo in here. Right. And I need to reach out to somebody to see if I'm not stepping on a landmine, sure. Unbeknownst to me. So, and that's where having some, a dozen underwriters and managers in downtown Fort Worth that I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I ran across this. What is this? Can this fly, or can we do this, or what kind of workarounds do we have? Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff. So that's the thing that I feel really good about.
Having those experts behind the scenes really
helps
give you
you can't,
the ability to present
you
to the
can't
client the best options.
Yeah, no, you have to always have good people around you to do a really good job.
So Mike, tell us what happens once somebody puts a contract in.
Okay, so when we get a contract in,
mm-hmm.
The first thing we do is we'll obviously read the contract, make sure that we've got all the parameters that need to be put in there. If there's, who's paying for the title policy, are there any credits, what the period is to make sure that we have them approved by.
So do you then get involved in the contract before they submit it?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes oftentimes a realtor, or a builder will ask me, hey, Mike, how quick can we get this thing closed? And, based upon, some loans you can close really quick. I closed a single close construction loan in 21 days.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane. I would never tell anybody that, when the builder saw that we did that, he said, "Oh, well, you just upped your game, so I guess I can expect this." I said, "No, you cannot."
One time only.
Yeah, this was one of those deals where first off the borrower was squeaky clean. I mean, their credit profile was great. Whenever I asked her for something, I got it immediately. Yeah. So, she was every bit
she got the gold star.
She did.
Right.
She absolutely did.
The planets aligned.
So,
yeah.
So, Mike, you mentioned builders. I know you talked a lot about your construction loan, and I know we're jumping around a little bit, but are there only specific builders you'll work with, or will you work with any builder?
Well, it's custom builders, really. The D.R. Hortons of the world, those guys have their own mortgage company.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they're
sure.
Lennar, all the big builders, they've got their own mortgage groups. So
they're trying to put everything under one roof.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, exactly. So and unless you, generally speaking, there's a little. I don't even know what it is, but it seems a little janky to me the way they do some of those things. It's
sure.
It's certainly not a level playing field for other lenders. Mm-hmm. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
But
so are you saying they cut corners, or what do you?
Well, what I'm saying is they give preferences if you use their mortgage company.
I see.
So they'll give
you upgrades on your house. They give you
discounts. Yeah. They pay for the title policy, do things like that. So, but I've still won some business because there's been times when I had some programs that were available to me that they didn't have available to them, and I was still able to get the client a better deal. Now, that doesn't happen that often, so I don't really.
Sure.
But as far as, when you're talking about people that are building a custom home, the custom home builders, and, we've got a lot of really good custom home builders here in our area. And so those are the folks that we really, those are the ones that we really try to foster those relationships.
Yeah, and I would imagine they benefit the most from it. I would think
they do, because we're accustomed to working with them. I got a client in just here. Let's see, it was about 10 days ago now, and he was supposedly pre-approved by another lender for a construction loan. Well, come to find out, the thing was dragging on. It had been 30 days, nothing had happened. And finally the builder said, "Hey, call Mike Carbone with Colonial and let's see what he can do to help you." So I talked to him. The guy was, super, super nice family. He fills out an application on my website. Come to find out, this lender never even pulled his credit.
Oh no!
Wow. So you need to do that?
Yeah, imagine that.
Is that part of the process?
So the reality of it was, this lender never even did a construction loan and told him that he could.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
And it was funny because the realtor was telling, after I had talked to him and we had gotten a little bit down the road and we knew that we didn't get to the point where we knew we could help him. The other lender called the realtor and says, "Hey, guess what? Great news! I've got this thing figured out now."
Oh, all right, a little late.
Yeah, so
figured out.
Yeah. Nice. So, Mike,
sounds like us, really.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, Mike, we often get involved either when the house is about to close, if it's a build, or another time we get involved is if somebody's purchasing an existing home. When they put the contract in. How do inspections affect mortgages, or do they?
They do. I mean, it's an integral part because. Well, number one, people want a warm, fuzzy feeling that, the house that they're buying is not going to, come tumbling down like a house of cards 2 weeks after they move in.
We understand that.
So obviously you want to know you're getting a good house, especially if you're buying something that's a little bit older. And oftentimes it's great for the borrowers because they have an opportunity to do some negotiating because, you do you guys are awesome. You do a great job because we've worked a lot together and I know what you guys do and the thoroughness in which you do it. So
thanks, Mike. Appreciate that.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that I enjoy about what I do is the fact that I get to choose a lot of who I work with. I don't. The builders that have great reputations, those are the guys that I want to be associated with. Those are the guys I want to try and do business with. And same thing with realtors. Realtors that are really good. Those are the ones that I want to have a relationship with, and people that are just interested in this transaction and getting this paycheck and moving on down the road. That's not the way I like to do business. So.
I would echo that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
we understand that same thing. Yeah.
It just comes down to, you want the right people playing in your sandbox.
You definitely do.
And relationships are everything.
It is.
Oh, they
it
are.
is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. And in these times, there's a lot of folks, they think that they can do everything online. Press button, get mortgage. Well, you can do that, and oftentimes you might be fine with that, but sometimes it's a nightmare. Yeah.
And you're kind of just locked in there too,
Well,
sure.
You get what you get.
Yeah. Because once you're down there and you start, I've seen some really ugly things happen, and mistakes happen everywhere. I make mistakes. Nobody who's done this for any period of time can tell you that.
But you have someone to call.
Yeah,
right.
That's the big one.
That's the big thing. Yeah.
But the thing is, you got to be able to address them, fix them, move on down the road.
Right.
So
Mike, you mentioned something that just kind of sparked something in my brain. You said, everybody wants this sort of push button, get mortgage, right?
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't realize is behind the scenes, those sort of push button mortgages, they have what's called automatic underwriting or automated computer algorithms.
Yeah.
But you guys, are you equipped to actually do manual underwriting as well?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so how would that benefit some people?
Well, some people, they're going to fall outside the guidelines of, so a lot of people don't realize this, but even us, we service all the mortgages we originate, or 99% of them. But in other words, we retain the servicing, but we do is we package up all these loans and we sell them to the bond market. They go to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Okay. Mm-hmm. But we retain the servicing on it. So the client doesn't, it's a process that they don't necessarily, they're aware of it. They get a letter saying that, hey, your loan has been purchased by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, but you're still going to make your payment to Colonial for,
That's nice. So once I originate a loan with you, I'm always writing my check to you. You're the person I have the relationship with. That's
correct.
Great.
That's correct. I had a guy closed a loan back in March, and he was going to he had a house to sell, but he hadn't sold it yet. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, Mike, we finally sold our house. Now I need to know what do I need to do to, I want to make a principal reduction on it." I said, "Yeah, no problem." I guided him to what he needed to do, and that's the benefit of, you call an Aquin, or you call Wells Fargo, or you call any of those big guys, number one, you're not going to get a person.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, at least not until you go through half an hour of pressing 4 on their keyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, and it's funny, I'm always surprised when people say, "Hey, Mike, this is so-and-so. You remember, you did a lot." Of course I remember. Yeah, of course I remember you. I mean, it's, but, so, but some people, they fall outside the guidelines because there are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines for underwriting.
Sure.
So when people fall outside of those guidelines, then we have the ability. We have portfolio loans at Colonial, so these are going to be loans that we use our money to do the mortgages, and those are manually underwritten.
Nice. So folks that are maybe self-employed or other things that make it more difficult to get a mortgage.
Yeah. I had a situation where, a client, they had a lawsuit and it wouldn't go through, the traditional. We had to underwrite it manually and keep the loan in house. So, but you can do that if you have that, if you're a mortgage bank and you have your own money to do that with. So.
Yeah, definitely. So Mike, let me ask you a question. What exactly are lender required repairs? We get questions about this from our clients from time to time. What exactly are those, and how do you deal with them?
So lender required repairs are going to be repairs that are put on the appraisal, by the appraiser. So if the appraiser puts something on there saying that he thinks if it's a government loan, if it's an FHA or a VA loan, sometimes it'll have some wood destroying insects that need to be, that stuff needs to be addressed, and it'll just say, okay, these are the things that need to be fixed, or they want an engineer to look at the structural condition, the foundation, things of that nature. And so those are the things that are going to be required by the lender. And then we have to have proof that they've been repaired satisfactorily, and then we clear those conditions.
And who pays for those typically?
Typically it's paid by the people that are selling the house.
Yeah.
That's typically who has to pay for it, because, hey, the sellers have to provide a disclosure. They have to disclose all the conditions of the house, everything that they're aware of. Now, they may not. Like I bought my house six years ago, 6.5 years ago, and the house was 25 years old when I bought it, and the people that owned it, they weren't the original owners. So you fill out these disclosures based upon what you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Or what you think, what you believe. You don't really know. So that's why people would be very unwise if they did not hire somebody like you to do the inspection, so that you can tell them, say, hey,
pre-listing.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah, they said that. Oh, by the way, that this was all good and this roof was replaced, but you go up there and it looks like it's been beat to death with a
with a hammer. Yeah,
with been through 20 years of hailstorms.
Yeah,
we see that a lot though with people that have only owned the house for a couple of years, or it's an older house, and they truly don't really know what's wrong with it. So
exactly.
And the good agents will be the ones that say, hey, I'd really like you guys to get a pre-listing inspection before we list this house, and they can attach that to the disclosure.
Yeah,
so it's a good idea,
and it's a great idea because, number one, it's a great show of faith on your part to say that, hey,
sure,
I want you to know that we've taken care of this house. These are the things that our inspector found, you can save yourself. You can talk. You'll have a copy of this inspection if you like.
Sure.
And you can save yourselves,
especially
an inspection fee.
Especially if it's a thorough inspection.
Yeah.
They're like, oh wow. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. Because they're gonna know that, hey, this isn't just like some guy came by and did a drive by.
Yeah, drive by inspection.
Yeah, drive by.
That's a house.
Yep, it's there.
All right. So if you're listening to us on one of your favorite podcasting apps, remember, please subscribe if you haven't done so. And you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. You can find us on Instagram or at Facebook or at housefluent.com. Kelly, you ready? Bill, you ready? It's time for our smart home update, Mike.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So every week we talk about smart home components that we're seeing in homes as we do our inspections.
Okay.
And we also talk about sometimes some things that are up and coming. And Bill, so I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about a trend that some manufacturers are seeing. So manufacturers of bathroom fixtures like toilets, showers, baths have noticed a trend, and that is that people are taking their phones into the bathroom with them on a pretty regular basis. And it's been kind of a joke for a while, right? People take their phone to the toilet.
Yeah.
Well, nobody reads the newspaper anymore, so.
So get this, right? So they're finding now that especially the younger people aren't just taking them into the toilet; they're taking them into the shower with them as well.
Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah, well, because of that, they are really pouring a lot of money into development of smart home products for bathrooms. So I thought, Bill, we'd do a series over the next few weeks of different bathroom products that are coming or that are here. And most of these that we're going to talk about today are actually here.
Here we go.
Yeah, and we're going to start with bathtubs and showers. So the first thing that's here right now, Bill, excuse me, smart manifolds and valves for showers and bathtubs. So,
meaning what?
So it means that you can turn the shower or bath on and off remotely.
Oh, God.
You can change the temperature with your voice or your phone. You can change the flow control, so you can change how fast the water's coming out, right? You can adjust the shower sequencing. So if you've got a shower with multiple heads, maybe you've got body sprays, maybe you've got different spray patterns, you can actually create a recipe to have it adjust all those things.
Just so you know, Brian, I've solely got the camera on Bill's face right now.
Yeah, that's good. So they call this...
I'm just trying to understand it. It's so hard to turn the valve
turn the knob
to make it hotter.
That's tough, man.
So now I have to talk to my shower and then I argue with my shower because you're not doing what I want to do.
You can still turn the knob, but no, you can create what's called a shower sequence where you can go in and it will change the spray and the spray pattern as you go through your shower. You can set it for a certain duration. It can change the temperature as you go through. So it's got a kids mode. So you can, Bill, you might like this. You can actually control the amount of time that your kids are in the shower.
That's the teenager mode. That's definitely what we need in my house.
That's called just a shut-off valve at the water heater.
Yeah.
When it's kicked into the second 50-gallon hot water heater, it automatically shuts down.
It's also got, so this is kind of cool. So it's actually got sensors in it that measure the amount of pressure in your pipes. And they're working on also if there's a leak, if there's a leak in the pipe, that it would actually shut the water down.
You know what all this is headed to?
What's that?
We're going to have the same sensors in our body. It's going to call our doctor when our pressure in our plumbing is off.
Yeah, maybe so.
And we were laughing now, but it's all coming. We're literally going to be on monitored full time to tell. So we know, that's not just, I just don't feel bad today.
Yeah.
The leaky spleen?
No, you actually are dying.
Yeah. So you can actually, believe it or not, Bill, you can pre-program the bathtub to fill at a certain time with a certain temperature to a certain level.
That is pretty cool.
That's
pretty cool. But
so necessary.
I'm just not that pampered,
No.
Yeah. And we happen to have one of those. I mean, to me, it's a fancy, spa tub,
Yeah, a lot of people have it.
It's a high end one, but I've never been in it. 6.5 years. I think maybe my wife's been in it I don't know. To my knowledge, maybe half a dozen times.
Yeah, it sounds about like our house.
Yeah.
We have like dirty laundry in ours.
We see a lot of those, Bill. How many of them, when you turn them on, have been used?
Yeah.
What's that?
Jacuzzi tubs.
Oh gosh, maybe 10%.
If that.
I mean, if they don't blow mud out of them, when you first turn them on, yeah.
So, so speaking of jacuzzi tubs, so that's another thing. If the jacuzzi tub is smart, you can turn that sucker on and off. You can, if it's got an air bath where it blows the bubbles up, you can turn that on and off.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this, Bill?
No.
So beyond manifolds, beyond valves, there's also smart shower heads. And do you know what these have in them?
Microphone.
No, not a microphone.
Speakers.
Lights and speakers.
Lights and speakers.
Lights and speakers. You can play your music. You could be, for those of you listening to our podcast right now in the shower, we appreciate you.
So you can disco out in there and fall and crack your
hazard?
head.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
The idea of, hey, take a quick shower, those days are over. You're going to be in there for an hour because, I was listening to the news. And I was watching a show.
Well,
I thought we were supposed to be saving water and energy.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You can also get water monitoring alerts sent right to you. And get this, they can show up on your smart television screen that's built into your shower.
Wow.
I don't know if television screens and showers should ever go together.
Yeah, so they're coming out now. Waterproof television screens in your shower.
Oh, my gosh. Because we don't have enough. Isn't that the only place you have to go anymore that you finally get to relax and don't have to deal with all that? I mean, don't get me wrong. The phone makes its way to the bathroom, because that's your reading time. But and I don't know anybody that doesn't do that anymore. But wow, it's it just scares me how much we are reliant on Wi-Fi to the point where you won't know how to turn your shower on.
Yeah,
you don't. Kids won't even know. Oh, you got to turn the valve. Oh,
yeah. So this is really truly. They're saying this is your personal spa in your bathroom. So everybody. You go to a spa and they kind of pamper you. What they're saying is what's coming, what's here is actually going to turn your bathroom into a spa for you. So you can go in, you can have the massaging shower heads, you can have different programs set, right? You can go in and say, hey, I want a steam shower today, or I want an ice bath or whatever it is. And you can have your own sort of personal spa in your bathroom.
So, like, if you wanted the sweetest massage, you could have, like, the fire hose attachment that goes on your shower head.
I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet.
I mean, I remember watching the shows where you were in the kitchen and you would, they'd tell you what you want for dinner and they'd kick out the dinner.
Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, those are the Jetsons. I mean, where that's now the bathroom, but it'll be the kitchen eventually. So, what do you want for dinner?
And there are companies. So, what's one of the things coming? There are companies that are actually working on shower doors that are touchscreens. So, the glass shower door will be a touchscreen eventually.
Wow, so it's going to be a tempered.
I guess. Yeah, I haven't.
Screen.
Yeah, it's still sort of experimental, but it's something people are working on.
Oh, that'll be affordable.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'll take two.
And what could go wrong?
Yeah. That'll be affordable to the top 1% of 1%.
Yeah, exactly.
The challenge with all this is you're used to being in your house and you hear someone talking and you're assuming they're talking to you, and your wife's literally arguing with the shower, but you think it's you and you did something wrong. And
Alexa, why are we out of conditioner?
It's not with me. You're telling your car to start from the shower and that's not working. And then it's, hey, this isn't working. And that's my worry, my concern with all of this.
Well, all that is possible for sure, but it's designed, believe it or not, all this is designed to be more convenient for you. Right?
Convenient.
So
it's always more convenient until it's not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, there's definitely challenges with everything, right? But some of this is actually kind of cool. And like everything else, this is all brand new now. And the things that stick will kind of stay. And the things that people end up not using will go away over time. So, all right. Well, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting app, please remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. You can find us on Instagram or at Facebook or at housefluent.com. All right, Bill, Kelly, Mike, you guys ready to talk about some client questions? Ready to get to some of those? All right, so Bill, this one is your favorite, I know. Can someone please explain what's really going on with older air conditioners being decommissioned? How often do we get this question?
Every time we tell them They have an R22 unit.
They have an R22 unit. So, all right. So I will make an attempt to demystify it, and then we'll let Bill kind of put his 2 cents in. So what is going on is, as of January 2020, which is right around the corner, R22 will no longer be available to be imported or manufactured in the United States.
Legally.
That's right. R22 is a type of coolant that's used in a huge number of air conditioners for both residential and commercial.
Huge number.
And it is being replaced by something called R410, at least for residential, which is a different type of coolant. However, those older units can't run R410. You have to actually upgrade the equipment to be able to do that. So fortunately, the EPA has kind of realized that, hey, this is going to begin costing people an exorbitant amount of money. And what they have done is they've approved some coolants for use in those older units now. So there's something called NU or NU 22 that can actually be what's called a drop-in replacement. Now, a drop-in replacement doesn't mean that people should be mixing coolants necessarily. What it means is they need to suck all the old R22 out and replace it with what's called NU 22. But the fact that it's a drop-in replacement means they don't have to necessarily change out any equipment, any hardware.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So
is it permanent or is it a temporary thing?
Well, technically it's permanent, right?
Okay.
It's as permanent as your unit is, right? So eventually
it'll go away.
Eventually it'll go away. But so that is there to kind of help alleviate some of this transition, which is fantastic for people, because up until they approved that, really your only option was, hey, I'm going to go drop 5, 10, 15 grand on air conditioning.
Big time.
Yeah.
And there's also some other coolants that can be used. There's something called R438A, and there's MO99, which is primarily commercial. But they can be used, but they do have to do some modifications to your equipment to make them work. So the NU22 is really what they're kind of pushing. Now, they are saying there's potentially a drop in efficiency when you go to the NU22. They're measuring it at between 5 and 8%. But I've read some things where people are saying it's more. I've read some things where people are saying, it works great. I don't have any issues. So I think it just kind of depends on your situation. Now, for commercial, they are able to replace the R22 with something called MO99. So that is something that they're dropping in as a replacement on those commercial or those larger units. But definitely check with your HVAC company. They're going to know, what's best for your specific situation. So what do you think, Bill? Was that a pretty good explanation?
That's a really good thing, because we run this a lot. And
we do.
And we've basically had to tell people you're either going to have to replace your unit or you're going to have to start finding R22 in the black market somewhere. I don't know where you're going to find it. But
it is becoming insanely expensive.
Very expensive. Hopefully there's more than one vendor for the NU22 and these other ones. It's not just one
the
person
guy that approves its brother-in-law.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
Typically, who manufactures that refrigerant?
I think there's actually quite a few manufacturers. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
That's a really good thing, though, because there's a lot of old units. In fact, there's probably a lot of the older R22 units that are brand new that you can't even buy them anymore. But we've seen brand new R22 units installed because they probably got a really good deal on it for some amazing reason.
Yeah, who knew, right?
But they're probably sitting around. But if they have this available, they'll be able to use those units, which is good. It definitely keeps people from having to replace their entire unit, which is huge. And hopefully, it's a good thing for them. It's a good thing for the buyers now if they have this available. So they still need to get them. We'd still probably recommend you have them leak checked and the same things we always recommend especially on older units. But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So typically, what percentage are R22 units out there?
That we see? Probably 80%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless it's a newer house, it's almost anything in the
new construction is going to be all 410, but
I'd say anything prior to 2000 is almost
almost all of those.
So as late as long ago as 2000, that's when they started making the newer stuff.
I don't know when the R410. It was mid 2000s, I think.
It might even been after 2000 because my first house was 03, and we replaced one of our units with 410, so it was still R22.
No,
so.
the 410 came out I think mid 2000s, but I mean, we see we'll see $1 million homes with R22 units. I mean, it's
multiple units.
It has nothing to do with how big or small or
right.
the
R22 units work really good. That's the problem. They cool better. I mean, 410 has much higher pressures. It's different.
Yeah. So okay. Next question, Bill. I'm building a home, and I think I need what's called a phased inspection. And how does that differ from what the city inspectors and the builders inspections are happening, and also bank inspections?
I just guess that we are definitely more thorough than what they're doing for their city inspections.
Sure.
We're doing a full report on what we look at. We're there specifically to look at certain things depending on what phase they are in the build. It's probably just more thorough for us, and the way we report is probably different. We're not just giving them the green light or green tag on something saying, yeah, you're good.
Right. Well, the other thing is, keep in mind, city inspectors are looking at specific things, right? They're looking at where your house interfaces with the city, right? Their job is to protect the city. It's not, and yes, it does protect you as a homeowner, but their real job is to protect the city and the city resources, and make sure that, when your builder is building your home, that they're not, cross-contaminating a water supply or, doing something funny with the electrical system that's, going to cause the fire department to come out. And not that doesn't also protect you. It certainly does, but that's not their true motivation. And the bank inspections are there to ensure your builder actually completed what they said they were going to do before the bank, a guy like Mike, gives them money, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that just sort of protects your pocketbook. And then any inspections that a builder would do themselves, they may be quality inspections, but they're looking for specific things to be done before they move on really to the next phase of construction, right? So what I always tell folks is, who's looking out for you, right? If you're not doing it, nobody really is. Nobody's really looking out for exactly what you would need or want in a house as far as quality construction goes. So that's really the point of a phased inspection. Those are, in my opinion, they're worth it. They are the most expensive kind of inspection, you can get, because you're basically paying to have a inspector out there on your behalf, at different points during construction.
I'd say the other thing would be we're also probably the only one that's licensed looking at any of this. So
yeah, that's true as well. Okay, last question, Bill. You guys recommended a sewer scope for my cast iron pipes. Why can't you do that at the inspection?
Because we're not licensed plumbers.
We're not licensed plumbers. So in the state of Texas, only a licensed plumber can put a camera basically in a drain line. There's actually several things we're not allowed to do as inspectors. So we can't pressure check your HVAC units. We can't put cameras in drains. We can't actually pressure test or test your backflow prevention device. There's a handful of things that, as licensed inspectors, we just can't do in the state of Texas.
But I can tell you, if you have cast iron pipes, we're pretty much going to recommend that you have your pipe scoped.
Yeah, and it's just the way it is, right? Those pipes are old. They're typically full of tree roots. I mean,
rusted.
There's almost always a reason to do it, but just to protect yourself, you need to do it.
If the guy's roto-rooting the tub when you walk into your inspection, that's a good sign there might be an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mike, thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun.
Why don't you tell folks a little bit about you and Colonial, just kind of as a parting?
How to get a hold of you?
Get a hold of me. GoColonial.com/Michael Carbone. I'm on Facebook if you want to contact me that way. I'm not a huge social media person.
That's shocking.
So, yeah.
Phone number?
Yeah, phone number's 817-343-3353. That's my cell number, and that's the most reliable way to get a hold of me. And I always return phone calls very promptly. So if you need me, I can be found.
Very good. Go for it, Kelly. All right. Thank you for listening to House Fluent Inspections Radio. We hope you enjoyed the podcast today. Remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. Go to housefluent.com to book a home inspection, read articles about stress-free home buying, home selling, and home ownership, or just generally get to know us. Thank you today to Bill Beck, our producer Kelly Lamont, and our special guest Michael Carbone. Music today and every day was provided by Purple Planet Music. So, Kelly, where are we going next?
Home.
Christmas safety.
Christmas safety.
Don't burn your present.
Don't burn your present. Yeah. We can let Mike actually get back to work now.
Yep. Back to work, guys.